This is my private with Kem, who's best known as Kem Sitsongpeenong, and he has his own gym in Korat now called Kem Muay Thai Gym. So that's Kem behind me, his beautiful gym up on the mountain, and he started me out with this just marching and punching drill with light weights in my hand. I think they're maybe like 1 kilo each. The point is to get your shoulders to pop. Like, you use your shoulders for the strength rather than using your arms for the strength. And it is so hard. Here he's showing me what I'm doing wrong. Watch his shoulders. So he's like, you don't use your forearms, pop from the shoulder. Look at how he turns. And he just takes his arms down to show how it's supposed to come from the shoulder. And it's hard because you're holding the weight up. So you need to just like thrust it from your shoulder. And the point is to get you tired. So when you watch this, you'll actually see me get better the more tired I get. But here he's correcting my feet and my hands. But on my left side, especially with my jab, I don't extend all the way out because I'm trying to hold the weight. So my arm ends up just holding the weight and kind of barely coming out. And it took me a long time to figure out what that was, but it's because of how I step. Like, when I step with my left, I don't use that step to pop the shoulder forward, which is why my right is better, is because when I drag that hip forward, I can pop that shoulder. So I'm not engaging my hip on the jab, but I am engaging my hip on the cross. So you can see it's a little bit better there because I'm tired, so I have to pop from the shoulder because I don't have the arm strength anymore. But it comes and goes, and Kem is just watching, diagnosing all the myriad problems that I have doing this. But he has you go for entire rounds. Like, it's really hard, and the point is to fatigue your shoulders so that in a fight when you're tired, you rely on the technique and not the strength. And here he's like, power, power, and I don't have any. So it's hard. And he's saying it's good. He's like, Mamilang means you don't have power, and he's saying that's good. Like, you don't need to have power. You don't use the power. You pop from the shoulders. It's really hard. I've kept up with this in my own gym, and I've been able to diagnose what these really small problems are by doing it more and more without him watching me and correcting me, but it's just through feeling it. But if he hadn't had me do it for as long as he had me do it, I wouldn't be able to self-correct those things. So this is not a short drill. This is actually a like fatigue drill. When you get yourself tired first, then you make sure you do it right. So my stance is getting a little bit wider as I get tired, and so that's how I'm engaging my hip a little bit more on that jab now, and you'll see it's a little bit longer, but I'm still not turning my hand on the end of it. I'm like hitting like I'm holding a hammer. So I think he had me doing 3-minute rounds, and you just keep going for the entire round, and then in the last 30 seconds he wants you to really like go for speed, which is really hard to do at the end of already being fatigued for 2.5 minutes. Here, he wants me to do this as if I could do that even at the beginning. Look at him laugh at me. I can't do it. He's like, just like this. Yeah, right, man. Look at his feet. See how he's using his knees and his feet to like get the shoulders to pop together? The thing about boxing is you get your arms and legs to work together. He's laughing at me politely. I had fought the day before, so that's why I have a black eye and tape on my head and all this stuff.
What was that like?
So you feel the burn in your shoulders almost right away. So you basically have to force the pop pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So now he puts these big old gloves on me. I don't train with big gloves. I train with like 6 ounce. So just shadow boxing in these like 10 ounce gloves was heavy. It's like having weights on your hands anyway. And so here he's just watching me as I shadow box. He wants me to do it for a couple of rounds just to like see how I move, what my patterns are, that kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. There's a divide in how people want you to do knees. Kem is like Karahat in that he wants really long knees. He's like, they don't hurt if you don't push forward with them with your hip. And then people who are clinch fighters like Diesel Noi, Yodwicha, who's at Kem's gym, and Yod Kun Pan all want you not to lean back on those knees. So there's no right and wrong. You just adjust to the person who you're training with so that you can do both. So he likes the lean back to really, really press that knee forward and make it long. And it's kind of funny watching myself in this shadow boxing now because I had not trained with Chart Chai again yet. So I've done the private with Chart Chai, who is a WBC champion, and I can see how my punches are wrong and how my weight transfer is wrong based on what I learned from him. So it's really interesting to be able to see the before and after with each of these guys. Like, I can look at video of myself before I worked with Kem and see little differences versus after I worked with Kem and these little differences. So you do take things from everybody. His gym is so gorgeous. This is in the morning and it was actually pretty cold. So here Kem is correcting my teep. So he wants me to teep with just my toes. He does use the ball of his foot, but he's like stabbing me with his toes. He's like, it doesn't hurt anybody if you teep like this, and he's kind of just putting his foot flexed, like you're hitting with the entire foot. And he wants it to be more of a stabbing and with just the ball of your foot and the tips of your toes. There are people, I don't know how they do this. It's like how ballerinas can go on point because they have crazy strong toes. There are some people who teep with their toes and it stabs into you and it's incredibly painful, but I don't know how they do that without hurting themselves. So I can't advise you on how to do that, but I think Kem is one of those people who can. So here I'm working on stuff that I do. So what you guys are watching is basically the shadow boxing that I'm coming to this session with. And then when we go on the pads, you'll see Kem's adjustments to what he was just watching and what I already do. So he's getting his head trainer, this guy in the shirt, that's the striped soccer shirt. His name is Pet Dam, or Crew Dam. Every gym has a Crew Dam, it seems. But so Crew Dam is going to be holding the pads for me, but Kem is going to be giving the instruction. I really, really like Dam. He's got a very cool energy. He's a very good pad man. So I love this. Like, I've hit the pads twice, and he's like, nope. So he's getting me to get on the balls of my feet more because he says it's too slow if you're flat-footed. Look at how clean his technique is. It's so pretty. And when he goes flat-footed, you can see the difference in his weight really well. So I think that I go flat-footed when I'm nervous working with new people. I think it's like a tendency to just kind of go flat because I have pressure on me. So just remind yourself to go on your toes rather than like being hyper about it. It's just leaning your weight forward, like rolling your weight onto the balls of your feet. You don't even have to have your heels super up off the ground. You could like slip paper underneath. And then here, he's using the same shoulder movement that he was using for the punches to show me how to be relaxed in the shoulders while you're kicking. He's like, if you tense your arm and try to kick, there's no power and you make yourself tired. So he wants you to throw that arm, but also his opposite shoulder is pretty loose as well. It's just keeping his guard up. So the way Kem is watching me right now and kind of diagnosing everything and seeing where he's going to make his points, I've seen him do this with his own fighters in the ring during their pad work. This is how he operates at his gym, which is really cool. So there's not quite the teep that Kem was just showing me. So he's gonna fix it again. So he imitated me on that first one with the flat foot and it was no good, but see how at the very end of it he kind of like, his teep is very long. What he's doing with his hand is the difference in the foot position. He wants it to kind of come down a little bit on the end. So you're like stabbing in from above a little bit. So especially watching those uppercuts, I can see the difference in working with Charchai since doing this with Kem. So because I had fought the day before, I actually couldn't kick on my left shin, so that's why that didn't go just then. And that's a thing that people ask me about when they come and train in Thailand is if they have some kind of injury, are they going to be able to accommodate that? Trainers are so used to working with their fighters when they have injuries and working around them. Just let your trainer know they're brilliant at it. So here he's trying to get me to grab across for the knee. Look at how loose he is when he does it. See how he just latches on with his right hand behind the neck? It's really simple and I won't do it. Like, I just will not touch my pad holders. But he's saying that it protects you. When you reach across, it's a guard, but you also have to keep your left hand up for if he tries to right hook you. See how closed he is? He's completely protected up top from that position. So I liked that one better, even though I'm not actually grabbing the back of Dom's head, but I am keeping my guard up better. And if you watch how Dom is doing the pad work, you can see what the spacing is. They have a very like stand your ground type of style. And here Kem is showing me how to use my knees and feet to pivot on that hook in order to generate more power. Look how pretty. My God. He brings his arm almost down. If you look at his left arm, his fist kind of comes at a downward angle. That's to come around someone's guard and you hit him right on the chin. The hook is like a fish hook. So you can see Dom's movements are kind of incremental until he charges past me, and that's when I'm supposed to pivot off like that. It's just feeling space. It's a really, really nice thing to have in a pad holder. So when he's calling time, you can hear him wanting me to go fast in the last 30 seconds to like really drive up your power in the last 30 seconds. This is a way to make your fighters really strong, but it also teaches you to finish out a round strong. The end of a round can completely change the storyline of what the beginning of the round was. And he does have you do push-ups between rounds at his gym, which is actually awesome. You end up doing like hundreds of push-ups a day if you train at a gym like that. You can hear the roosters in the background. Kem is really into gambling and chicken fighting and stuff like that, so he's got these really beautiful roosters. Look at his feet in the spacing he makes. He's saying engage your hip. When you put your ass back like that, you can't reach anybody and you have no power. So see how he comes forward with his hips and not like that. It's so ugly when he imitates me. So for each round he wanted it to develop. He told me earlier what the order was going to be. It was like starting out with everything, and then there was going to be a round of elbows and a round of knees at the very end. So Dom was double checking with him about which round we were on, and it's keeping with everything. And it's cool to have trainers who progress through things like that, and they'll like simplify as they go. So here he's showing how to knee and then elbow. So he's saying when the person's coming towards you, you fake the knee and then elbow, or you can fake the teep. When you fake, see how he's moving his arms? When you fake, the person's guard pops open in anticipation of them thinking they're going to be hit by something. And then he's saying to engage my hip on that knee. And on the elbow. Everything comes from your hips. And you can see actually that I generate more power when I do what he just asked me to do. I kind of fall back off of things, and that's because I don't drive my hips through. So he was saying in my next fight, don't do this fan elbow. That's the one that comes around and across, because you just hit the guard. So he really just wants this upward elbow. And I've seen him teach it to his own guys, and I've seen Duuglas-Ittu, who's now at his gym, do this more often. But you basically come up through someone's, Kevin and I call it the 11 guard, and it's kind of the basic boxing guard. So you come up through someone's guard with that elbow. It's really good if you're a close fighter, and you're susceptible to it if you're a close fighter as well. So learn how to block it. So you can see in the way that Kudam is holding the pads how knees and elbows work together. So I don't have to think about it, but the way that he's holding it is teaching me that coordination. And so Kem is seeing how I'm basically just like driving with these knees and elbows, and so he introduces the teep and the jab to set it up. And this is a way to kind of create not so much space for yourself, but distance enough to catch your breath so that you're not just driving forward and like gassing yourself out. You're using the different distances, staying active, and keeping a lot of pressure on your opponent. So that's what that teep that he just added in is for. He knows I'm Muay Khao, and he works with Duuglas-Ittu, who's Muay Khao. And he's like, you don't just go forward and knee all the time. You have to bring these things in to give yourself the opportunity to breathe. Especially when you're getting tired in a fight in the later rounds, you really want to use your teep to create that breathing space for yourself while staying active. And so you can see now that I'm using the teep, how the space between me and Kudam has changed. He's still right on the end of all of my strikes, but I'm not crowded anymore. Oh my god, when he does that elbow, it's so pretty. Look at how it ends in the exact same spot every time. And he's saying you can do it on the right side as well. Left and right is the same, with the same setup. Oh, look at his hand on his head. It's like he's slicking his hair back, and it stays right above his ear. It has this like finishing oomph on the very tip of it. That's why you know that it slices, is that it's short. And so I'm starting to incorporate that teep in order to kind of give myself beats between the moves that take more energy, but also to keep Kudam on the end of all of my strikes. So Kem's happy with this change because I'm doing what he was just showing me, and it's changed the rhythm. And if you look at the patterns of how the knees and the elbows work together, it's kind of systematic. It's nice. It feels very natural. It's not memorized patterns. It's kind of a like high-low fluid feeling. You just follow it. Doing push-ups between rounds is not easy. He's happy he only makes you do 10. I fought in Karat one time, and coincidentally, Kem and Kudam were there with another fighter. and they cornered for me. He's a really good corner man. And here again, he's reiterating to me that you can't just plow forward all the time as a knee fighter. You can't just, like, constantly, see what he's doing with his hands? Like, don't just run into someone over the time. It's, I guess, what we would call brawling in the West. But so he's saying when you get tired, make your distance for yourself. So he wants more teeps in this round from what I was doing. So here, I've never done this before. Like, I've done a million different drills where you grab your trainer and just knee, and it's just to build endurance. But what he's doing is you basically put your hands, like your palms, on your pad holder's shoulders. And I'm not doing it because I don't understand it, but you basically look at how Dom is showing me. He still wants the hips to be engaged. You don't just march forward. See how he's using his hips? But you're pushing with your arms to basically, you're holding your pad holder in place. You can, if you look at my gloves, you can see how I'm not holding his shoulders because I'm such a jerk and I refuse to actually touch my pad holders. But I should have basically my palms flat against his shoulders, kind of gripping them like a clamp. And then if my arms were more straight, I'd be pushing him while kneeing. So my upper body and my lower body are not working together in this drill the way it's supposed to go. So he wants me to do an entire round of these knees, and I had to slow it down in order to get the technique that they were asking for. But you can see that they're more powerful. This is really good for endurance. So my arms are getting a little bit more straight at times, but you'll see them bend because I'm not actually pushing on his shoulders. You should be pushing on his shoulders. And you're wearing gloves, so you actually have to open up your hand in order to get the heel of your palm on the shoulder to push. Here, Kudam's been feeling it, and to him it feels like I'm just putting my fist on him, which you can't do because it's so easy to just slap it off because it's in a glove. So here he's showing me, see how his hand was? You open up your hand inside the glove and put the heel of your palm on the shoulder to, like, clamp it. And then he straightens out my elbows as well, because I should basically, it's like if you're hitching up a plow, you have those straight bars that you can push with. And I have more balance now that I've actually got the heels of my palm on him, but I'm still not really pushing or gripping the way that I need to. But you can hear in Kem's sounds of improvement that I've made some differences that he can hear and see on my knees. They're very, very subtle differences, but they make a big difference overall. So he wants me to push more. See how I'm starting to kind of do these little shoves? So this is exhausting for me, obviously, but if you were getting kneed in the stomach in real life, it would be way more exhausting for that person. So that's what you have to remind yourself of when you're doing these drills, is that you're wearing someone else down as well. And so here it's the end of the round, so he wants me to speed it up. And he wants me to push at the same time. It's super burn. It's a sprint right at the end. See how I'm turning my head sideways? That's something I do because I don't like to have my head close to someone else. I think it's like a politeness thing, but don't do that. Just put your head down so that it's like your head is down next to someone instead of stuck in their face. But turning my head to the side like that, I do that when I'm clinching as well. It's not good. So here again is that reaching across the body that he was showing me before and staying up on your toes, which he says is for speed. If you stay on your toes, you're much faster to respond to things and react to things than if you're flat on your feet. This guy came into the gym. You'll always, in Thai gyms, there's always people who just like come to watch. And Kem is bragging about me to him that I fought the day before. And they're saying when Thai people fight, they take a week off, which they fight a lot. It makes sense to do that. But if you have a chance to go train with Kem, go train with Kem. So now they're doing a block and then knee. So if I block on this side, I have to use... See how Kudam is using the block to cover distance? You don't want to block and put your foot directly down where it just started, because you don't gain any ground that way. So you want to use the block to then step wide forward, and then you can drive into them with the knee. Gao, that means like to step forward. So, strangely, I do it okay on one side and not the other. And it's partially my inability to reach across the body in a nice way. But engaging my hip and kneeing forward, I feel like I'm kind of crowding myself. So, Kem right there was just showing me that I was like shrimping my body together. But if you watch Kudam's body, he leads with his hips and drives forward. Here he's correcting it. So on my left knee, I'm not coming up high enough because I'm not bringing my heel up to my butt. You want your heel up and to the outside of your butt in order to really drive the knee to the center. Otherwise it's going to go off to the side. So you don't want to have it be too like rocking horse, but you do want your hip to come forward and then your upper body stays pretty straight. My problem with my left knee is that when I'm trying to knee, my upper body doesn't stay straight. See how I'm turning my left shoulder in? When I do that, that's why I'm off balance on my left knees and I kind of fall off of them a little bit. But my right knee's good. I've got balance on that one, even though I'm not reaching across his body that Kem asked me to do. But you can do this drill on a bag pretty easily if you don't have a pad holder to do it with you. Look at his technique though. See how he like latches his hand onto my shoulder and kind of pulls it into his knee? But it's not dramatic. It's just so I can't move. And then he's pulling it in just a little bit. And then I'm like, I'll touch his neck, but I'm not going to pull on him. I don't know why I can't do it. I have this weird thing with tension in my hands, and I think because of that tension, I'm not able to lock onto the shoulder or the neck. If you loosen up your hand, then you can just place it, and it kind of locks by itself, but if you have tension in the hand, it won't grip. But I'm covering distance better here than I was earlier. So he wants it to be higher. Sung sung, it's high. He wants he says my right is okay, but my left is not coming high enough. And again, that's the heel needing to come up to like the outside of your butt cheek. But it's my upper body turns in this weird way, which is why I can't get my left knee to be as high as my right knee. You want to work on symmetry for the most part. But the power's good, even though the technique's not fantastic. So you just need to kind of like bring it down a little bit and make those very, very minor corrections until they both feel the same on each side. Like I can feel the difference when I'm doing this, and I know that the left side is not the same as the right, but I don't know while doing it what the problem is. It's watching it later. So here I'm telling Kevin that I can feel that that left side isn't right and that I kind of shrimp. So this is one of Kem's favorite moves. He fakes the teep and then has that upward elbow. He showed it to me earlier, but now he's going to have me do an entire round of it. Look at how he comes up through the hip. So he's like, you don't have to bounce down first, but from your regular stance, you kind of pop up with it. He's like, when he's tired and I'm tired, when he comes into me, this is when I do it. So it's when someone is walking towards you. So he's like, you don't have power if you're chasing him. You use the teep to kind of draw him in and keep him at a space, and then you fake the teep because he's coming towards you and he's going to fall into your elbow. That's where you have all of the power. But if you're trying to chase him, that's not the time to use this elbow. You don't want to use it as the forward coming opponent. And then Kudam is teaching me here how he uses the word swing, which is actually a really good word for it. See how his shoulder and his hip turn to like swing the elbow up to the center? I'm not coming from the hip. I don't like swing across the way that he does. You want your hand to kind of like slick your hair back on the side of your head. So you want to keep it really, really close. You don't want it off your head. That will keep you from reaching out too far, but it also keeps everything so that your entire body has to come with it. So Kem is showing me here that if you teep the wrong way and he gets out of the way, you don't have control of your teep and you fall forward. So you bring your teep back in order to keep control of it. So even if he moves, you're not off balance from it. So you gotta bring it back off of the impact to keep control of that teep the whole way through. And that's another part of keeping your hand on your head for that like slicking the hair back, is you have control of the elbow the entire time. So if you don't hit him with the elbow, you don't want to be like sailing off in a weird direction. You want to have control of it. So see how Kem is on the ball of his foot? His heel is up, so he can use his knee to make that extension to like press his hip forward and kind of come up. You don't want to be coming from your heel on the ground and trying to get on your toes. You want to already have your heel up and kind of use your knee and your hip to come up like a little spring. So I'm getting better power on it, but you can see that my hand is not touching my head, so I don't have full control of that. He's making fun of my fake. See how he fakes his teep? How he brings his knee up so high? That's so it actually looks like a teep instead of looking like a fake teep. So just there, I actually literally put my hair behind my ear. That's the motion I should be making with my hand when I'm doing the elbow. So look at how light on his feet Kem is. He's trying to show me to stay really light because you use this when you're tired. You use this when someone is coming after you and you're kind of like punishing them for coming forward, and you don't have to exert a lot of energy. It actually feels really nice. Like when you work on this, it feels powerful and like you're not using a lot of energy, and like you could just slice someone's face open. So it's actually something that makes you feel pretty badass to work on. So work on it. It's fun. So he liked that very last one. I think I did more correctly because I was tired. So Kem is an incredible clincher. He is so good, and being able to get in the ring and clinch with Kem is like an incredible experience for anybody, but the fact that I'm so much smaller than him and he can make this work and teach me techniques is really cool. But if you look at what he's doing versus what I'm doing, because of our size difference, I'm kind of getting lost with my arms, but look at how deliberate all of his movements are. If he puts his arm behind my head, it's to turn me. See how he grabs my arm and his other arm works in tandem with it to create this frame that's constantly moving? And then he waits for me. That's an incredibly important part of training. The way he like threw that knee like a soccer kick over me when I went on the ground. You want to do that even if you don't actually touch anybody. It's part of learning it. It's a dominance thing. But see how he looks at where my hips are? See how I'm trying to turn him and my hips keep going to the side? He then takes advantage of that to twist me. So he chooses the right moments to basically throw me in the same direction I'm already going in. So he uses his forearm to see how he wants me to push him in towards his own knee. People in clinch often pull, like everyone knows to grab the back of the neck and pull towards that side, but pushing is really, really good, and you use the forearm to do that because you can't actually grip with the hand in a glove. So he's going nice and slow for me to give me opportunities to like change my position and like let me think for a second to figure out what I want to do. Like that. He's giving me a moment to figure it out and I don't get it. So here he has me doing the cross face. And I put myself down. But he does it differently from how Sitsongpeenong taught me. And he'll show me in a second. But see how he uses his like forearms on each side to kind of control my neck? And he keeps his hips in while still using his shoulders and his head really low. So here he keeps tripping me by going outside my stance, and he's like, hey dum-dum, just keep your legs outside of my legs. It's like waltzing. Like you want to stay outside of someone trying to get behind you, which just takes time. You just need to be aware of it. So there, I used his trying to knee me to pull him because he was on one leg. No matter how big someone is, when they're on one leg, you can kind of move them better. And see how he uses the knee. He knees me and then uses coming off of that knee to step behind me. That's the exact same thing I was working with Kudam on, where you knee and then take up space from that block for your next knee. So you block and take a big step forward. On this, you knee and then step behind someone. I got my one elbow in. So if you watch his legs and where he places them in connection to where my legs are, you can see how he times his throws and tip overs and all of this stuff. Like he's constantly putting his legs in a position where he can tip me. So now he's showing me, he's kind of chasing me down and giving me the opportunity to work on these small movements to get out of the way. See, that's what he taught me, that fake teep or fake knee and then the elbow. This is another context in which you can use it, is when someone is chasing you down. When you fake the teep, they're either going to come harder to try to go through it or they're going to stop for a second. And either one works well for that elbow. Okay, so here's where he's showing me how to do this crossface, and it's different from how Sitsongpeenong taught me. He does go behind the shoulder the same way, but he uses his jaw to pinch the forearm. So you bring your shoulder and your jaw together to pinch the arm, and it creates a lot of tension and gives you good leverage. So see how he gets kind of stuck when I finally pinch my jaw over? Here he has control. He can keep moving himself. But if I go on his jaw and then I pinch my own chin, which I'm not doing yet, it creates a lot of pressure on his shoulder and takes away a lot of his strength, so he can't really get out of that position. He's putting all this pressure on me by coming towards me to teach me how to like chill out and use this move that he taught me. I'm a little bit terrified when he's coming towards me. But see how he's just driving forward? I need to calm down, like slow down, and then do that fake teep and elbow thing. But I'm kind of panicking, which is why I'm not creating the space that I need to actually do that effectively. And he comes after me as I'm getting up. He's so awesome. So here he's making fun of me because my feet get kind of tangled together. See how he keeps his stance really wide? So when he takes a step, it's really deliberate, and he's actually kind of... He doesn't have to go really fast because each step is kind of wide. I'm putting my feet behind my other foot, which A, I'm off balance, but B, I end up doing this little like shuffle backwards, which is kind of like running backwards. But see how there my stance is wider, and now I have more time to do that move that he just taught me. You want deliberate, measured steps back, not like a Bugs Bunny run backwards. So I have my right arm on his neck. I should be using my forearm to kind of like push him to the side on that because I can't pull him. And here he's just putting the pressure on me to give me the chance to kind of find a way to slow down. And here, see my jaw is in free float? If I put my jaw and pinched it towards my own shoulder with his arm in between, I could put the pressure on his shoulder that I'm trying to get right here. He's saying power, power, because I'm not doing that. And then I need to put my leg behind his leg to create that leverage and so that I don't get tripped. See how he turns his face towards me? And then he brings his shoulder up to his jaw. So even though I'm shorter, this leverage works with him, which it doesn't always work when people are so much taller than me, but his technique works with that size difference. So I do okay. Like, I have my wide stance a couple of times going backwards, and then I panic and start doing the Bugs Bunny run. Here he goes again. So teeping when you're going backwards is really hard. You have to post in order to get power on your teep. And the way that you post is by taking wider steps. Like that. He's like, if you don't breathe, you just get more and more tired. So you need to find these ways to slow down, like those wider steps. Here I'm trying to get my hand on his jaw to create that leverage. But he's really good in like creating these situations where you can drill something without it being an isolated, I'm just doing this thing over and over again. He puts it into context so that you can try it over and over again in context. He's trying to get me to do something here, and I kind of, because my butt is back, I can't get any leverage on anything. But there I created space with the face smush a bit. And now he's coming after me. He liked that one. I felt totally panicked, but from his end of it, it seemed a little bit better. So he's putting a pad on now so that I can actually elbow. When I say the Bugs Bunny run, it's these really, really short steps going backwards. If it had a sound effect, it would be like that like tinkle step that he makes. You want it to be more like boom, boom, boom step backwards, like a drum beat rather than the like little chiming sound. There, see? See how wide his feet are? It's so pretty. It actually feels slower, but because it's smooth and each step is deliberate, you create enough space with 1 or 2 steps instead of panicking and having like 9 steps. So here he's just having me work on the footwork, like just move backwards around the ring to like feel all of those steps. He's like, not like that. That's the Bugs Bunny step. So when I really think about how wide those steps are, I can do it. Like when I'm concentrating on it, it's when the pressure goes up and you start to panic that you do those steps where you end up like tangling up your own feet. So the idea is to get really comfortable with those movements so that under pressure you do that more automatically. And you can just do this at the end of training for like, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 round, whatever. Just feeling your way around. You can see every time he does that move how many times he's done that move. So when you watch it on video, you can see how he's just kind of pressuring me coming forward. The way it feels when you're actually in the ring with him is like he's running towards you. But see how tight he is? When he puts his knee up, my guard opens. It's like this panic thing. So it's basically like a bird cracking a snail's shell or something. It's like this is how you get someone to open, is by faking that teep, and then the elbow is wide open because their guard pops open a little bit. So he starts coming after me with his left arm out to try to grab me in the clinch. And he's like, when someone is trying to grab you on this side, use that to change your elbow so that you're inside that guard. See how he's trying to grab me with the left arm? If I'm in my guard, my elbow's already inside of that grip. So when he's trying to grab me, that elbow comes through. I'm getting pretty good power on it, but I'm not doing the swing thing that he and Kudam were showing me earlier, and I'm not touching my head at all. So now he's trying to get me to control my teep by backing up like that. When he goes faster, it's so scary. I can't post and teep going backwards, so I don't feel like I have power. But I just need to slow down and like time when that foot is back to throw the opposite teep. But it felt very natural when I felt his arm coming around the side to switch the elbow I was using. That again is about controlling your teep. So you can see my balance is better here until he chases me. So here he's showing me just pivot off to the side, like you don't have to only go backwards. Change the angle, like cut off to the angle, use fewer steps. He's so scary. So now I have to start following him a little bit. So he's getting me to feel both directions and have control of the teep and the elbow going in either direction. So there I switched the elbow because of that arm coming after me. Teep, teep, teep. This is his sprint technique. The last minute, just putting so much pressure when you're already tired. So now I'm coming forward, and my balance isn't quite as good. So see how he reversed that? He had me chasing him and then immediately changed his direction so that now he's chasing me. I should be able to adjust with the exact same footwork, going forward and backward. I'm trying to explain to him that when I'm going backwards so fast, I don't have any power on my teep. See how slow he's going? Because he knows what every distance is gonna be. See how he just steps off to the side? He has control. He's not panicking. Ta-ta, ta-yen-yen means like slow and have a cool heart. See how calm he is? He knows exactly what those distances are. He's like, when you're under pressure, slow it down for yourself. He's like, if you go fast and I go fast, nothing works. When you start going fast, I slow down and kind of respond measured to everything that I'm doing when I'm trying to go fast. So now I have to do 20 push-ups at the end of everything. Thank God Pinu makes me do so many push-ups, otherwise I would look like a goober at this gym not able to do it. So I was coming back up to Karat for another fight, and he was saying that he wanted me to come train with him for 2 days before the fight so that he could bet on me, but unfortunately Karat is too far. So here, just watch him, because this is how you practice the footwork that he was trying to teach me for those elbows when he was chasing me around the ring. So just back it up and look at what he was doing. Just do that for like 5 minutes every day. Kem's awesome.